AllReasonNoLogic.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an exciting 2v2 on Gecko Island Remake. Joining me today on the casting couch is Tank Tom, another member of AllReasonNoLogic. Tank Tom, why don't you run us through the players?
So in this game today, we've got two team leaders, Wanira in blue with an OS of 24, and I see why you gave this to me now. Let's call him Fire in red at 22.
It matches
So
the
they're
colour.
opposite each other, and then it looks like it should be a relatively even match with Ember in green at 16 and Aposis in yellow. We'll stick to colours.
We're going to stick with colours.
A nice square map here today. Looks like there's plenty of metal points. 1.7s across the map and 2.5s towards the middle.
In fact, it's 2.5s almost in a cross shape down the middle. This is a diagonally symmetric map, so neither team should have an advantage over one another. It is surrounded by water, so let's hope that we get some interesting plays with amphibs or potentially some boats. Reasonably standard start out of the blue team. One going bots, one going vehicles. Similarly, on the red side, we have one going vehicles and the other already going bots. We see that yellow is taking advantage of the tidal being at 25 and building most of his energy in the water. All players could do
nice
this,
to see.
and it's
Whenever
definitely...
whenever you've got a map that has that high tidal speed and you've got easy access to it, it's generally worthwhile to use that to boost your energy production early.
You just want to make sure that you don't put too many of them down and stall your army, because a couple of units will be necessary. Some early blitzers coming out from the blue player. He is sending them out. No units yet. No offensive units yet out of the red team.
Aggressive start for the green commander. He's immediately gone out to start taking mexes.
With the 2.5s directly in front of him, I understand exactly why. That is a huge boost to income, 5 per second, and you can actually see it on the metal per second with a 23 to 18 at the moment. Energy is in favor of the red team because of the titles, but the metal is what's going to make or break the early stages of the game. So I really like seeing that out of the blue player. Oh, sorry, the green player.
The blue players put a couple of titles in the corner there as well.
Good thing they've figured that one out.
It looks like we should start to see contact relatively soon between blue and red.
Blue having...
Interesting, the setups that we've got. The blue side's kind of stacked to one side, whereas the red side's in the two opposite corners.
Certainly means they have less easily accessible metal, but also much easier to defend and to cover each other's backs. Yellow player moving up to those 2.5s as well, though not as aggressively. He's got some units to actually back him up, though a lot of these are forward scouts. Green, very little in the way to protect himself from this, but the blitzers coming up into red space with that LLT. One goes down before any real damage, but the blitz should be able to get that LLT. Nope, not quite. Because he changed the attack angle, it stopped attacking for a few seconds. The LLT stops any real damage, so just a small metal donation to the red player if he decides to pick them up. But the other three blitzers are heading on down the middle. Looks like they're going to, if they keep going the way they currently are, they're going to run into the constructor, and an incisor should be a good little pickup. Great little pickup here, making sure to get the constructor. Does take additional damage from the incisor. Loses one that he probably didn't have to lose, and that'll make this attack on the LLT much harder. But no energy, which means that the LLT cannot fire effectively. But with the incisor backing it up, it looks like it may well be the second constructor surviving. Good positioning from the blue player, trying to stop the incisor from getting the damage on, but reclaimed by the constructor. Good little skirmish
yellow's
there.
Worked out where green is now.
And green absolutely defenseless. Looking at green's playstyle, that is a lot of build turrets. I feel like that's either a mistake or an inexperienced player.
I feel like it's potentially supposed to be wind farms, but I could be wrong.
And all these pawns getting in very nicely, destroying two mexes, closing one of the solars so the beamer doesn't have enough energy to shoot. Pawns do clean it up, but that was
I
a
would
lot
say
of
taking
damage.
out the eco, but you need eco to take out in the first place.
And the front line, and while this was going on, great micro by the yellow player taking out the front mexes as well. Green has been effectively completely reset. That aggressive start not paying off. Blitzers chasing down a couple of these pawns, but more heading back on into the base. But with the solar back open, the beamer is up to take care of it. So great, much more effective aggression out of the yellow player than the blue side.
And you can see that yellow's regrouping those pawns to get enough to be able to do an effective push again, rather than just feeding them in one at a time.
And having a quick look at the incomes now, it is 42 metal to 19 for the red side. The yellow's safer expansion seems to be paying off nicely.
We
Slow
can
but steady
see,
though, the blue player is moving their way forward, taking mexes and defending with these blitzers, and continuing in the back line to get a lot of energy eco in the water. More than all the other players actually, so definitely going to power ahead if he's allowed to leave those ones up unmolested.
and that amphibious constructor is going to be largely undetected because I don't believe anyone can see that without a sonar because it's underwater.
They will be able to see what it's building, but no players going hovers or amphib units at the moment, no boats, so very safe getting that eco in the water, though I would have pushed it further off the coast, just so that it's not in range of things attacking it from the land. Pawns from the yellow side pushing back up into green. One LLT and a tick, not going to be enough to stop 10 pawns. Probably lose one or two, and if they get too close to the comm, he'll certainly help out, but pushing on in and running past and not taking it out. That's a lot of extra damage and continuously taking damage, but the Geo is going to go down, which is huge. There's the Geo pop, and he even waited for the comm to be in range for that extra damage. I don't think that was intentional, but I'm going to pretend that it is.
And Ember's struggling once again with eco. Winira's doing a good job of keeping that going. I'm just looking at the numbers at the moment.
Thankfully, Ember is getting the energy overflow, though they definitely need converters between the team. They are currently producing well and truly more than they need to. Pawn aggression continuing from the yellow player. Green just not able to get back in to the game with all of this aggression. Blue reminding green to get a radar. Radar's critical for stopping the early aggression. Looks like there are 20 LLTs going down for the green player. That is one way to try and defend. I definitely think that OS 16 might actually mean that he has not played very many, and his rank is he's only just started doing multiplayer.
New players come in at 17 for reference.
And another pawn run by, heading straight for the base, but again, there is energy this time for the beamer to clean these up, though there's a few buildings right on the edge of its range that it will certainly go down. Beamer taking down the first pawn, but Constructor looks like it doesn't quite go down. Does go down to the last pawn. Very, very close there, but more pawns rushing in from the side. This is just constant harassment to the green player. The yellow not giving him a chance to get even close on this. The red player asking the yellow to go easy on green because he has identified that there is no no possible chance if they keep pushing into the green like this. Such a huge investment on LLTs is not going to win you the game.
And in some of these situations, rather than continuing to extend and pushing into those bases, if the base is already dead, there's not too much benefit of throwing more units at it at that stage.
Particularly if the
If
focus of the green player is building LLTs, you know that you're super safe to leave him alone.
Yeah, definitely leave some units nearby so that you can essentially keep them hemmed in and be
But
aware of when they start moving out, but you don't necessarily need to keep everything dead all the time. If you move in every couple of minutes and do a raid, you'll achieve a very similar thing.
pawns waypointed across the map, so they're just feeding into the group that yellow has sitting there. If we have a look at the actual map itself, red is effectively controlling all the way up to the halfway point along with yellow, and it's 88 metal income to 34 at the moment. So the red team definitely pulling aside, but we do have an
You can see
equalizer
that
coming
blue
down the
play
left
coming up
side.
the side.
We have
Now,
3 amphib tanks that are heading around the back. We'll see what damage they can get done, see if they can bring the blue team back into the game. Blue team definitely building up the eco to counter, but the map control is just so far in the red team's favor that there is
yeah, and
that something dramatic needs to happen very soon, or the game will spiral well and truly out of control.
only at T1 for both sides still.
Red and yellow
The
could
metal,
easily afford the T2 transition right now.
yeah, with metal incomes of, we'll call it 50 plus, and that 700 to over 1,000 energy a second is more than enough to be able to comfortably make a T2 transition if they wanted to.
But they seem to be quite happy holding this middle ground and just trying to get that push in. And if you look at the red player, 41 in
That is a
sizes in the
lot of,
middle. That's enough to win the game at the moment.
yeah, if that was to roll on through, there's not much that's got any hope of stopping that. I'm just going to have a look at the player view because I'm curious to see. No, they can't see much of what's going on over
No,
in the
they
red
cannot.
base.
Some of the dots showing up now. A small force, only 14 of these incisors, just starting to head down. Blue
Those
player
amphib
is...
tags are just making landfall at the
Yep,
top of the
and he
map.
is reacting to the incisors, bringing Janus up. Tanks going for the mexes over here, but these are exploiters, so only one getting taken down. I don't usually see it. We don't usually see exploiters, but if you're going to leave an area sort of abandoned, if you have this much map control, they're not a bad choice. They do have a decent amount of firepower and HP. These two tanks heading on up, but they're walking straight into a Dragon's Maw, so I don't think they're going to get a lot done.
I do like having exploiters in choke points, like particularly if you've got, say, a front mex that everything's going to have to run past, making that one an exploiter, particularly if you're planning on putting any static defense there, like an LLT or two, is
Attack coming
generally
down
useful.
on the left side of the map, using the superior range of the Janus and the Stouts to push on through those incisors, and it looks like we are getting a breakthrough right here and into the forward lab. Those
Good
incisors not
micro
able to
there.
hold up to the high firepower. But with so many on the way, this attack will only be temporary. Question is, can he take out the vehicle plant before he loses all this to the incisors? Commander coming in with the D-guns, but that was a lot of Janus damage. Will that last? Oh, last missile leaving
Oh,
him on
that's close.
4%, and the vehicle production plant on 17%. That is not ideal. But now, with the blue army
Good
dead, the
response for red
incisors
to
are
send
coming.
those units straight on through.
Yep, and that is the 100% correct answer right here. When a team loses an engagement, you know that they've lost at least most of their army. But good defense coming out from the blue player, trying to get the best shots he can with his Janus. Unfortunately, only getting one volley out of each, and now being chased by a couple of Stouts. But the incisors know they have the advantage here, and they're fighting into the Stouts. Stouts don't look like they're going to get much more damage done before they're taken out. One extra incisor down, and the Geo down as well. And this is all happening during a T2 transition out of the blue player, which means that no additional units were coming to the fight. One Jaguar coming out, but one Jaguar is not going to be enough against this
That's
many
not going to be
incisors,
enough.
unless it is super well microed, and the red player micros his incisors badly, but gets the T2 lab, and now has free reign of the blue base, but he's pulling out. I'm sure why he's doing that. Certainly bad positioning. Or no, intentionally firing to take out the lab so that it can't be reclaimed. This is a lot of damage to take just to do that. You could have taken out a lot of the rest of the base. That Jaguar doing a lot of damage to clean this up, so a micro mistake from the red player that will keep blue in the game, at least for now.
And those units dying within range of the build towers, so all of that metal is going to get reclaimed.
Except it's all going to waste. When you're at full metal, and he reclaimed the entire lab, and he's sort of left the build turrets to do as much reclaiming as they feel like. So a lot of overflow going on just now. Jumping over to the green player's base, his tower defense is now fighting against the yellow players well and truly pushed up side of the map. That is metal everywhere. And it is
Yeah,
maces
the metal
versus...
difference is 150 to 50. So
Yeah.
3 times the metal income at the moment.
Well, if you just have a quick look in the top left corner, Red lost his entire army, and now he has effectively replaced it with a combination of Pounders and Brutes. Same numbers, just a heck of a lot more units. So the blue team getting systematically picked apart. Even though the OSs might have made this look reasonably even, with a 24 and a 16 versus a 22 and a 21, so a total OS reasonably similar. 21.5 for the red team and 20 for the blue team. The inexperience of the green team is certainly shown on this one, and the starting at 17 OS, not always letting that calculation be accurate.
To give him credit, he hasn't completely collapsed yet.
Though
Like, he
that's
still has a front that's keeping yellow busy for now. Not
it's
that
a
it looks like it's going to last too much longer.
it's a front that's got 0 power LLTs.
True.
Um, that is just the inexperience of the player, not understanding exactly where he needs to invest his metal. He's managed to build himself 6 converters, but he doesn't have any energy
Oh, that's
generation.
interesting.
And now we have ambassadors coming in to take out those LLTs at range. But looking at the blue player, he's doing what I always recommend in a situation like that, and that is a situation like this, that is a Hail Mary play. Just because you're losing your base, just because you're losing the ground, it doesn't mean that something like an air transition can't win you the game.
He did have a shipyard up just before that was eaten. So he's got a few constructors to be able to continue building that eco in the corner.
I don't see ships winning the game at this point. They can definitely damage some of the production in the bases, but considering just how much space has been taken up by these players, that would just be a setback. What's going to win you the game now is a comm snipe.
Yeah, and it was good to see that shipyard got reclaimed once he had the couple of constructors to continue building his eco on that corner. And it looks like he's, yeah, with those seaplanes building up, and I expect that we're going to be looking for a snipe rather than necessarily eco damage.
A snipe's the only thing that will work in this situation. The eco damage you could do 75% eco damage and still be behind at this point.
I don't know whether they've seen the yellow commander at all, but they do know that the red commander was at least near that front at some point.
And there is a sonar plane, so it will help them track it down. But as soon as they reveal themselves, the red and the yellow team will have an opportunity to respond. They'll probably lose one comm, and then it will be entirely down to how well and how quickly they respond before they,
Nothing that's
as to whether they'll
shooting,
lose both.
nothing particularly capable of shooting up at this stage, though.
Yes. And seaplanes do a lot of damage. The red will now know that there is air as it's been pinged, but they have also found the red comm, and that is the red comm going down. Now it's a race to snipe the yellow comm. Question is, where is it? Because I don't actually know.
Down near the green base.
Down near the green base. So if he can get the red comm, there's 3 air defenses. I would be building these non-stop at this point.
Building lots, yes.
There we go, he's just started building them. There are 4 up. The unit's heavily damaged from running over some... I'm not entirely sure what got them, but they're heavily damaged now. This most likely won't result in a comm snipe, but it will be close. Depends on how spread out those units are, because all of those missiles are AA. The longer you delay, the more AA is going up, and at this point, I reckon Aposis is going to have enough to protect, and red is telling him to cloak his comm. As long as it stands still, they won't be able to target it. And this is some seaplane bombers coming on in to see just how much damage they can do. Great at taking out bombers. Oh my god, is this going to be a comm snipe? Is this going to be the win
It
for the
looks
blue
like it
team?
will.
Behind the entire game, and they win off of a air transition. Great job, guys. This is
With the
exactly
base
what you need
ready
to
to
do.
die in about 20 seconds.
Everything going across the map. Unbelievable. What an unbelievably good player. As I said, when you're behind, you've got to look at what your win conditions are. When you're in front, you've got to look at what your lose conditions are. For the red and the yellow players, the lose condition was comm sniping. For the blue players, the win condition was an air comm snipe. And so you've just got to take a moment and do what you need to do to get yourself back in the game or to keep yourself in the game. What a fantastic comeback from these guys. Love to see it. Quick look at the
Yeah,
graphs to show just how badly behind these guys were. Metal produced blue player not even half of red and yellows after the towards the end of the map. And looking at damage dealt, it has been red and yellow sitting well and truly above the pack. Blue doing nicely right at the end and catching right on up with those seaplanes. Fantastic.
I think the key takeaway from this is if you can't, uh, like if you've got a front that you can't win, find a different way to do it.
Snipe, snipe, and snipe away.
And I think at that point, we're going to call that for today's video.
Thanks everybody for watching, and we will catch you next time.
See ya.